This is the story of the property at 112 28th Avenue in Northwest Calgary, owned by Andre and Dana Samus. It has 3 rental units. They thought that they were buying an investment, but what they really bought was the money pit.
When we first moved into the main floor unit in October of 2009, we were given to understand by Andre that he was a family man who wanted long-term tenants that he could treat as family. After moving to the residence, he immediately put the house on the market, wanting an excess of $760,000 for the 3 units. The house is quite literally made of sawdust. Andre's real estate agent, Donna Rooney, wanted instant access to our home, stating to us that 24 hours written notice to the door was unreasonable. But this is the law. What is unreasonable in the province of Alberta are the laws that allow real estate agents to overrun tenants.
Another monsoon out there.
For whatever reason, Donna Rooney determined that the best place for the keys to our residence were in a lockbox attached to a water spigot on the house. We later found out from another real estate agent that someone with a screwdriver removed the lockbox from the spigot, and we found this out after we suspected someone had been coming into our home. Andre and Dana never informed us of the stolen keys. We changed the locks. Andre and Dana scolded us for changing the locks, even though we immediately provided them with copies of the keys as provided by law.
That's tails.
We scolded them back for not telling us about the theft of the keys, even after we informed them that someone with the keys had entered our residence. It quickly became clear that Andre and Dana's interest in the property was greed. As you can see, the problems with the property are far greater. Even though our entire neighborhood is on the North Hill, north of the Calgary City core, the house is situated on the lowest spot of the North Hill.
Dude! The river!
Water was flowing from everywhere in the neighborhood down to this point. The force was so strong that it lifted manhole covers on the street and in the alleys. Andre and Dana had just evicted the downstairs tenant, and what a relief it was to her, as water in her residence was nothing new. During the summer of 2011, Calgary had 3 nasty rainstorms. 2 of them saw the most rain in the history of Calgary weather recording. It is predicted that these rainstorms will only get worse.
Someone call a plumber?
The plumbing systems of the 3 residences are somewhat shared. When there is a clog, the sewage from the residence upstairs empties into our kitchen sink. When the plumber came with his 200-foot snake, he needed most of it to clear the clog. During this rainstorm, the new downstairs tenant was quickly overwhelmed by the water.
Raining so hard, that's a river. That's our laneway.
The entire east wall of his unit became a waterfall, bringing about 4 inches of water to his residence. He spent the next several weeks moving furniture and other items outside to dry. He borrowed fans, including our industrial-size fan, to dry his carpets. He feared that mold would set in.
Yeah, that's our blue box. I guess I should go retrieve it. This is a river back here. This is supposed to be a laneway.
We often smell a sewage stench near the door of our residence, which is over an interesting room downstairs, where there is a sump pump that funnels water to a drain out back. Housing in Alberta should be considered a criminal act, as it would be in Ontario. Builders are allowed to use cheap, substandard building materials, and houses are crammed together, turning neighborhoods into fire traps. Just look what happened in Slave Lake in May of 2011. Many Alberta communities are a disaster, just waiting to happen. The money pit's mother is the house next door. To walk through it, it is one big stench. The lot was subdivided, and this long, lean house was crammed into place. What happens in the mother house affects our residents. This day began when the new tenant downstairs knocked on our door to find out why there was so much water running in his residence. The sump pump had been turning on and off for hours. The downstairs tenant called Andre and Dana several times to complain. Finally, the fire department showed up. The tenant next door had been evicted and the furnace left off when Calgary was hit by an early cold snap, with temperatures plummeting into the -20s. The water pipes broke and flooded the basement of that residence, and then flooded the basement of the residence downstairs. When the fire department came, they found the basement next door flooded, causing water to flow into the basement of our house. The fire department had trouble locating the valve to turn the water off. They had to dig down, chopping at the tree roots to get to the valve. They then had to rig a hose and pump together to drain the basement of water. Another serious problem with the mother house is that the sewage backs up into their sinks, tub, and toilet. It's happened several times. At one point, the residents were ordered out of the house by the City of Calgary for reasons of health and safety. They were allowed back in after the sewage drained. To properly fix the serious drainage problems of these two properties, it will take engineering and excavation. Otherwise, the owners will continue to spend fixing minor problems caused by the major problem, drainage. I can imagine that it would cost the owners of these properties in the neighborhood of $300,000 to $500,000 to correct these issues. Steve, the landlord of the mother house, is adamant that he will sell the property rather than fix the problems. Andre and Dana Samuz also do not want to spend the money to fix their problems, wanting to dump their problems onto another unsuspecting buyer for their money pit. They desperately want to put the property back on the market to rid themselves of the money pit. The property has a small front yard, and the backyard is the property's parking lot, so there's little land to speak of. Gardens seemed almost unreasonable. Andre and Dana wanted something to be done to make the house look more attractive. They gave me permission to grow a wildflower and poppy garden along the eastern wall of the house. I started seeding at the south corner. Having no access to an outside water hose, day after day, bucket after bucket, I brought water out to the garden to start it. In the next year, the garden had taken hold with many wildflowers, red poppies in remembrance of the soldiers, Canadian soldiers dying in Afghanistan, multicolored poppies in remembrance of Michelle Lang, a Calgary Herald reporter, killed in an explosion, an improvised explosive device in Afghanistan covering the war for the National Post. I didn't know her well, but her death devastated me and brought me to seriously question the events and the official version of 911. Just after Jack's death, and still in grief, I came home from work to find my garden was being destroyed. Instead of doing a proper job to fix the drainage problems of the property, Andre and Dana decided to put in a retaining wall. At first it appeared that they were building the wall out of brick, but instead they used wood. A man who lives in our neighborhood working for the building and planning department for the city was amazed at such stupidity. By building this wooden retaining wall only increased Andre and Dana's liability in future floods.
Nice landlord, eh? He said I could have a garden here, and then he goes and stomps all my flowers down. Nice landlord.
This liability will be transferred to the new owners of the property. Not only do Andre and Dana disrespect their tenants, but as landlords they fail to acknowledge that it is we, the tenants, who pay for them to own this property. It is we, the tenants, who pay the property taxes. To that end, in just over 2 years, we paid more than $30,000, and times that by 3. That is almost $100,000 from the 3 units. They disrespected in eliminating my garden and the poppies planted in remembrance of Canadian soldiers and Michelle Lang.